This book really came out of the question of what happens when you die. For a time, I became really consumed by this question and actually realized I hadn't thought about it very deeply. I hadn't explored it, and then it seemed to me all of a sudden like, hey, this is a big one. What happens after you die? And so I really became consumed with reading whatever I could about it. And around the same time, a friend of mine was cleaning out her garage, and she just handed me this book called Old Souls, and it was about a professor at the University of Virginia who had done research, decades of research into very young children who had, concrete, detailed memories of previous lifetimes as, real people that were verified to have existed. So these cases pretty much blew my mind, and I had two boys at this time. I had two young children, and started to realize same kids, same parents, completely different people. Why are they the way they are? Why are we the way we are? Does it have something to do with what came before? And out of all of this, this idea started percolating about a very skeptical single mom whose 4-year-old son seems to be drawn to and sort of haunted by a previous lifetime and a family from that life. And there's a professor based on Dr. Stevenson who helps her. So that's kind of how the book initially came about. Some characters I find kind of are painstakingly created. For some reason, the character of Janie, who's a mom in Brooklyn, I am a mom in Brooklyn, one would think that this character wouldn't be so difficult for me. But it actually took a while to kind of separate her from me and see her as her own person. Whereas other characters, there's a character named Denise, just kind of showed up and started talking. And those are really the most gratifying moments as a writer, because you just have to do justice to what's arising in front of you. So I had characters in the book that did just show up, and then characters I had to work quite a bit on. There's a character based on a real person. The real man's name is Dr. Ian Stevenson. In my book, it's Jerome Anderson. And in that case, I was creating a specific person who has an illness that the real professor did not have. But I also felt that I wanted to do justice to the man himself, to capture something of his kind of zeal. And one of the nicer comments that I received on the book was from his protege, who's continuing on his work, who said, "Oh, I think you really got the spirit of Ian with that character." And that felt really, really good and like quite a relief, actually. The title, The Forgetting Time, has a number of meanings, actually. On the one hand, it refers to Professor Anderson, who in the book is suffering a form of semantic aphasia. So he's losing words, he's losing the memory of words as the book goes on. It also refers to the actual children. There are about 3,000 very well documented cases that have been studied at University of Virginia and elsewhere. And for most of them, by the time they're 5 or 6, they forget these past life memories and attachments. So it also just indicates that forgetting time that these children undergo. And then another meaning is just that if it is true, and this happens, and we were all born before, and we'll all be born again, then I suppose you could say that we're all of us in a forgetting time, because we've forgotten who we were in previous lifetimes, and I think that's something that's interesting to think about.